Good evening again. Welcome officially to the celebration of the Leaders of Tomorrow event for 2025 and 2026. We are honored to live, work, and play on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Stolo Coast Salish peoples. This is the 15th anniversary of this special event, and students, you are the reason we are here. Family and friends, setting the core foundation for strong, caring, giving community members, so we celebrate and recognize you as well. And teachers and staff, we especially want to recognize the representatives from the schools, Teacher Martin Armstrong from Chilliwack Senior Secondary, Principal Chuck Lawson from GW Graham, Principal Josh Sandberg from Sardis Secondary, Principal Brooke Holler from Imagine High, and Teacher Megan Kempenar from Agassiz Secondary. And I should stop right now and say, if I don't quite get your name right at any point through the evening, my apologies, but I will do my best. Also, a special welcome to all the Rotarians, President-elect Jared Mumford for Chilliwack Rotary, Jason Suddy from Chilliwack Fraser, Kim Ashley, President for Chilliwack Mount Cheam, and Deanna McGonigal, President for Chilliwack After Hours. We have a number of special community guests here as well. Thank you to any of the representatives from School District 33, trustees who have made it here this evening. Acting Mayor Jeff Shields is here on behalf of the city. And I did mention a few housekeeping things a few minutes ago, but we'll just run through them again. Washrooms outside in the lobby. Fire exits by the lighted signs at the back. Those are the same doors you would head out for the lobby if you need the washroom. You are welcome to take personal photographs, group photographs. You can do those following the formal portion of the evening. There will be time to do that here. And we want to say a big thank you to Gareth Clark and the GW Graham Film and TV students. They are doing videography, media, and filming to record and create a presentation that will be shared with the schools, the Rotary clubs, and participating students. So you will have a few mementos from this evening. And also a big thank you to all of the team from the Chilliwack Cultural Center for helping to put this together. Ushers are available to assist at any point in time if you need, and they are close to the entrance, the exit for us at this point in time. So I wanted to invite Acting Mayor Jeff Shields to join me and express a welcome.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm going to act like I know what I'm doing up here. How's that sound? So on behalf of Mayor and Council, welcome everyone. This is such a great event. Lisa mentioned we started this 15 years ago. I'm a Rotarian. I was involved for quite a few years, and my favorite part of Rotary is this event. Leaders of Tomorrow it's incredible. I know that every year, and you guys are going to see it. Your parents, teachers, everybody here is going to see it. When you hear the profile of these kids, and all you do is you go, wow. Wow, it's just incredible what they do at such a young age, and their potential, their ceiling is just so high. So I think it's going to be a wonderful evening. I can hardly wait for it to start, and enjoy.
I would like to invite Peter Duhalt to join us and speak about Leaders of Tomorrow.
Hey, thanks, Lisa. Like Jeff, I'm a Rotarian, have been for a number of years, and Jeff's been involved with the Leaders of Tomorrow for years, and with the teacher partnerships in the school district. We've seen a number of wonderful leaders of tomorrow that have come. I've been blessed to have the opportunity to do this for 3 years and work out from this table with the other clubs. This program is not a camp or a one-time event. It's something that much more important than that. It is about community and these future leaders that will make a difference. It's going to be the Jeffs. It's going to be the Chuck Lawsons or Trustee Prosey that are here leading us in this community. The young leaders that showed themselves in their bios and what they're doing are phenomenal. We want to make sure we recognize those, and that's what the Leaders of Tomorrow does. Allows us to recognize them now for the future. And having a chance to see all the bios and the video clips will come out, it's really exciting to see what the young leaders here have done. And you should be proud as parents, as teachers, as family members. They've done some superb things. And this isn't about somebody that's an academic, someone who gets 99% on all their classes, does an LSAT and goes to university and scores in the top 1%. These are about real people doing real things in the community at a young age. They're making a big difference. The amount of time, hours they volunteer, the number of these students, all the Rotarians in this room couldn't do the amount of time that has been put out. There's a phenomenal amount of time and commitment and give. One of the nicest things I've heard and seen some of the pieces that you'll see shortly is the amount they give. And they give of their heart and give with helping at home and how important their parents or their family, their grandparents, their special aunt, but also that teacher, that mentor that's made a difference. The Leaders of Tomorrow bring that out within our school system here and within our community. And as Rotarians, all Rotarians in Chilliwack, it makes us proud to see what comes out.
Thank you, Peter. We have a special guest with us this evening, Rolle, talking about chasing big goals consistently. Carol-Ann is an elite athlete who knows what it takes to chase big goals and stay consistent, even when it's hard or when the progress isn't obvious. Her experience in sport led her to become a sports dietitian, where she now helps some of Canada's top runners use nutrition as a powerful tool to perform at the highest level. Please help me in welcoming Carol-Ann to the stage.
All right. Hey, guys. So, as Lisa just mentioned, I was invited here tonight to talk about chasing big goals consistently. Should check that my slides are working. We're good. So, honestly, the word consistency to me is like the most unglamorous thing in the world. People love to talk about the big moments, you know, the big achievements, the trophies, the podiums, the medals, the scholarships, or the acceptance letters. But people don't like to talk about all of the messy, hard, exhausting work that comes way before all of that. And, or even worse, the feeling that comes sometimes after you hit a really big goal and you feel a little lost afterwards. And I think that's something that's really important to talk about tonight, as you guys are all sitting at a major transition point in your lives. You're about to graduate, and that should feel huge, because it is huge. You just worked 13 years to get to this moment. That's very, very exciting. But you're also stepping into a season where your goalposts are about to be constantly moving forward and always changing. And I know that feeling very well. So basically, for my whole life, I've been an athlete. A lot of pictures up there. If there was a sport, you name it, I wanted to be a part of it. I started off my journey as a competitive swimmer. That led to running, and then I got into triathlon. In university, I was into cross country, track and field, volleyball. I loved them all. And I was good at pretty much all of them, but I was never good enough. You know, in university, I was captain of the team. I won Athlete of the Year at my university as well. I would go compete at nationals. But, you know, I'd come, you know, in the top 20, but I was never good enough to make it to that next level, to get to the international stage, make a national team, go to Worlds. But I'd keep trying things. And then in 2021, my now husband, Jeremy, said we should try trail running. And I was like, I did really like running, and I loved hiking. We often went camping, and I'm like, we could combine those two things and do trail running. So for those of you who have never heard of trail running, I'm hoping it's getting more popular and you guys have heard of it. But it's when you run through the mountains, pretty much, on trails. There are rocks, there are bigger rocks like boulders, there are mud, roots, lots of things. It's technical, it's hard. And yeah, Jeremy wanted us to do it. And I was like, cool, let's go. At the time, I lived in New Brunswick. So that is where I grew up, way on the East Coast. And we headed to I think it's the only national park out there, to do a trail run. And it was pretty cool. It was like nice, loving the trails. Then we got around maybe the halfway point, and it got really hard. We were in the middle of a climb, and I decided this sport was the worst in the world. I laid down in the middle of that trail, and I was like, what are we doing? I hate this. And I just complained about the world. And Jeremy's looking at me like, what? You've done all of these sports. I've seen you win so many races, and we're just out here, the two of us, supposedly having fun, and you're laying here complaining. And I didn't even know what to do. I'm like, I don't even know how I'm going to make it back to the parking lot. I don't really remember a whole lot after that. Jeremy eventually convinced me to stand back up and at least start walking. And then we kept trying trail running a few times. And then little by little, it got a little easier and a little more fun. And I got way better. And then I was like, I think this might be the sport that I'm going to stand out in. Then fast forward a little longer, Jeremy and I got married. I love sharing this photo because we are two adventurous people and we love just sports. So of course we would go down a ski hill in our wedding get-ups. So we got married, and then we decided to move to the mountains to take trail running to the next level. So that's what landed us here in Chilliwack. And yeah, really my only criteria to moving was finding a place with mountains. I took out my phone when Jeremy mentioned Chilliwack. We'd heard from, I think, a friend of a friend of a friend. I looked at the Apple Maps, pulled up Chilliwack, saw all the mountains around, and I said, let's go. And we found an apartment on Marketplace, and then here we are. So then we started trail running. I signed up for my first race. So trail running, there are many distances available, but really when you get into trail running, you want to be an ultra runner. And an ultra runner is for an ultra marathon. So that's any distance above 42 kilometers. So I signed up for 50K to be my first ultra. And then started training for that, showed up to the race, not really confident, but I was like, hey, let's see what happens. And I ended up doing pretty well. I hit the podium on my first ever 50K. And I looked at Jeremy, I was like, this is the sport. This is my sport. And I started Googling, okay, how do I take this to the next level? Okay, how do I get on Team Canada? And I found out it was the qualification year for Team Canada for that sport. So I looked up how I needed to register for nationals, and there were 6 spots available for the women on the team. 2 were going to be given out at nationals. So top 2 would automatically qualify, and then they were going to give 4 more spots to people who would apply. So you would just kind of race a lot and then present your resume to the selection team and say, hey, I deserve to be on this team for X, Y, Z. So I had my plan. I was going to nationals, and that's where I was going to qualify. So nationals were later that year in August in Squamish. So it's perfect. We were only 2 hours away. And I spent all of my free time driving to Squamish. We would bring our tents and our sleeping bags. We would camp out the whole time, and rain or shine, we were out there running the trails. I would study the course. I would redo technical sections over and over again. I had all the elevation map memorized. I was training on the food side of things. Lisa mentioned I am a sports dietitian. How many of you guys in the room, I can't see you super well, have ever paid attention to the calories or grams of carbs on the back of a food product? That nutrition facts panel? Okay, that's a lot of people. Cool. So when I race, 50 kilometers is no small feat. It's not like going into, say, a shorter sport that lasts like an hour, like a 10K race, let's say. You can't just have a good breakfast and you're good to go. You actually have to eat the whole time. So I aim for about 90 grams of carbs an hour when I'm racing. My races last anywhere from 4 to 7 hours. So that's just shy of like 400 calories an hour. Should have got somebody to compare to you guys, but like 400 calories, that's like 4 bananas every hour. So I have to do that on repeat. So I'm training to do that. So that's all part of it. And then, August rolls around and I am feeling so confident about nationals. I'm like, I've got this because I have one race under my belt. And then the week of nationals, where, we're getting everything together, we're packing our stuff, I get a phone call from my dad. And I'm like, oh, this is my dad checking in for the mental side. He was always one to drive through to me and my brothers that when you're doing a sport, half of it's mental. You need to know what you're going to say to yourself when the negativity starts. You need to change your thoughts. You need to learn to smile. All the things. Envision the race beforehand. Envision the finish line. But that wasn't the reason he was calling this time. He actually had some pretty bad news for me, that my cousin, who was like a little brother to me, had passed away that day. He got hit by a car as a pedestrian, and I was heartbroken. And I was like, you know what, this Team Canada means nothing right now. I need to be there for my family. I was ready to give up on all that and fly back, but New Brunswick's like 4,000 kilometers away. I was going there. But then he's like, no, do the race for Jacob. And I had multiple phone calls over the next couple of days with my family members, trying to decide if I'm coming back for the funeral and be with everyone, or do I stay here and fight for my chance on the national team to finally get to that level that I've dreamed of since I was a little girl. I was convinced to stay, and 2 days before the race, I attended the wake via FaceTime, and then the day before the race, I watched the funeral on live stream alone in a hotel room. It was brutal, but I was there for a purpose, So the next morning, I woke up, got to the start line, and I'm going to do this, and this time, I'm doing this for Jacob. I have another reason behind why I'm racing today. And, gun went off. I went out with all the pro athletes to start. I was like, yep, I can keep up to these girls, let's go. Because I don't even think I made it to the halfway point, and I got dropped bad. I had no business going that fast, especially after everything that had happened the few days before. I was mentally spent before I even got into that race. And then I remember hitting about, the 30K mark and sitting in a chair. And that's, you still got 20 kilometers left. And I had no idea what to do. Eventually, people convinced me to get back out of the chair, and I started walking, and then eventually got to running. I made it to the finish line, but I wasn't top 2. I wasn't even on the podium. I wasn't even top 10. I was 14th at that race, and that was, very disappointing and honestly really embarrassing. I think a lot of you in this room, you set big goals. You wouldn't be here if you didn't do that. And it sucks when you come that far from them, when you're expecting top 2 and come 14th. And I had told so many people that I was going for Team Canada. That day I kind of thought I was going to quit the sport. I was like, yeah, this actually isn't for me. I don't ever want to be on the start line of this race again. I don't want to hurt that bad ever again. And it took about a month. Because a month later, we were helping out at another race, and I saw other people pushing their limits. I saw people that were, their knees and elbows were bloody from wiping out on the trails, tripping over rocks, and then still pushing forward. I saw people puking on the side of the trail and still moving forward after. And I was like, you know what? I can do this. It kind of lit the fire again at me. And I was like, okay, there are still 4 spots left for the team, right? They only gave away 2 at nationals. And the team wasn't going to be announced, or submissions weren't due until the following May. So I had 7 months left to qualify. So went back to my drawing board. I hired a professional coach, and we decided on a race down in California in the States where a lot of pros were going to be at. So that was the race I was going to prove to the selection committee that I was good enough to be selected for the team. So that race, April 2025. I worked my butt off. Same thing, studying the race. I didn't go down every weekend like I did when I went to Squamish. California is a little far, and that'd be a little expensive. We did head down a few weeks early so that I could see the course, but I studied everything I could online, watched videos, did the nutrition prep, and then we got down there. I'm excited, you're meeting pros on the trails the weeks beforehand. There's videos on social media going out, getting everyone hyped up and showing off the elite runners that are going to be there. And it was all going great. Then, same thing, week of the race, I make a mistake. Jeremy and I had picked our Airbnb that was super cute on the top of a mountain with a hot tub. Everything looked great, but we were at altitude. Didn't realize that, us living at sea level down here in Chilliwack, having an Airbnb above 2,000 meters would be a mistake. So I got altitude sickness. So the closer we were getting to the race, the dizzier I was getting. I was nauseous. I had no appetite to eat. Again, I'm a sports dietitian. I know how important it is to get all of those nutrients in beforehand. And I was panicking a little bit because I'm like, no, this can't happen again. I'm this close to my opportunity. Don't want to have that taken away. So we kind of went and saw a doctor. We brainstormed. We're like, okay, got to get out of the altitude. So I needed a new spot to stay. It was now the day before the race. And I did find a friend that was racing the same day, and she allowed me to stay in her hotel room with her. It's like, perfect, I can recover from this. Turns out you don't recover in like 24 hours from altitude sickness. So morning of the race, I wake up and I'm like, yeah, I don't feel any better. All right, we got to deal with it. So I'm trying to eat breakfast. I am gagging on every bite. But I get a few things down, and then we head to the start line. I get to the start line and I'm like, I'm positive I'm going to start puking at any moment. I'm like, my breakfast is coming back up. Now I've got a decision to make. Do I get on that start line, or do I sit here and, potentially start puking? I'm like, well, got my running shoes on. I'm dressed. I've got my vest packed with all of my nutrition, my hydration. Let's give it a go. So we start off hot, but I'm being smart this time. I'm not going all out from the start. I'm racing my own race. It's going decent. I'm not really able to keep up with my nutrition. And, it still went okay. I did have some pretty big lows in the race. And overall made it to the finish line. I knew I'd been passed by too many women. I was getting scared. Got to the finish line where I knew I needed a top 5, or I thought I needed a top 5 finish, or at least first Canadian, to make the Canadian team. And then I came in and I was 7th. And I was 2nd Canadian. So it was the same feeling in Squamish. Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna make it. I just wasted all this time, all this effort, a lot of money to get down to this race. So then, I was kind of defeated again. I was like, I'm not even gonna apply for Team Canada. I can't with these results. And they were due the following week. And then at the finish line, this guy came up to me. I didn't know him personally, but I knew of him. He had been on Team Canada for a number of years already. And he's like, are you gonna apply for Team Canada? That performance was awesome. And I seriously looked behind me to see who he was talking to. And I was like, oh man, he's talking to me. And I was like, what? You think? Really? And just because he said that to me, I did put in an application. And then there was still that was in May. I knew they weren't gonna announce the team till somewhere in June. So I continued racing. I had some good success. We put it on the screen. I had some wins. I had some new course records here in BC. I had a race where I came first overall. I was pumped to beat all the boys, the girls in the room. You'll know the feeling. And then I was pretty convinced I wasn't making Team Canada anymore. But I was like, it's okay. I can still race for fun. And then one random afternoon, I get a notification on my phone. And it's from Athletics Canada. And the first word I could see was congratulations. And my heart stopped. I was like, no way. And I opened up my phone so fast to find out that I did get selected for the team. And I was now going to represent our country at Worlds. And I was excited, but the biggest feeling was honestly relief. I had been carrying so much regret and guilt for not going home back during nationals when I wanted to be with my family, when Jacob passed away. But it was finally all worth it because I did make the national team and I was going to the world stage. And then kind of fast forward a few months after purchasing some plane tickets, I got to go to Spain for a full month with Team Canada. So all of our best athletes in trail and mountain running, got to live the life of, professional athlete where you wake up in the morning, you eat breakfast all together, and then we all go hit the trails. We go in the mountains, we train, come back home, we eat, stretch, hang by the pool a little bit. Some of us would go out for a second workout, and then you just repeat every day. And it was great. The World Championships were all I could have ever imagined. The course was grueling. It was the most elevation I'd ever done at one time. I didn't even know if I was gonna finish, but I had a blast, and I did finish. A quarter or a third of the women in the race didn't finish at all because there were cliffs and really, really big rocks. People were wiping out and rolling ankles, breaking things kind of the whole course along the 50K. yeah, so I was pumped to make it to the finish line. And then, kind of before I knew it, it was time to get on a plane and come back home, which was kind of a shocker. And you don't realize after you hit a really big goal, like it kind of feels a little bit empty or lost afterwards. You're like, okay, I just spent so much time and effort working up to that, and now it's behind me. And I wasn't expecting that at all. And then I started thinking about new goals. And I was like, you know what? I came about 60th-ish in the Worlds, which, is, a huge accomplishment, to be 60th ranked in the world. But then I started thinking about what if I could come top 20 next time? And then my mindset shifted. And I was like, ooh, 60th sounds horrible. And I was like, kind of caught myself that I wasn't really proud of my finish at Worlds anymore because I started setting bigger goals. And I had to stop and be like, whoa, you can't have that mindset. So I wanted to really drive that home for you guys tonight. And I don't like reading off of notes, but for this end, I was like, I need to bring this in notes because I want to make it really clear and worded properly. And I wanted to say that because that realization of, hey, when you set bigger goals, it doesn't make anything you accomplished in the past any less impressive at all. Because if you don't appreciate or you don't learn how to appreciate where you are right now, you'll spend your whole life chasing fulfillment instead of actually feeling it. Right now, there's probably something in your life that feels like a finish line. Like maybe it's graduation. Maybe it's making it into that university or college. Maybe it's that new job offer. But very quickly, life's going to hand you a new mountain, a new university, particularly for the next degree, or a career opportunity, or just new expectations. The goalpost will keep moving, and it's not a bad thing. It means you're growing. But please don't get so focused on the next achievement that you forget how far you actually come. Because some of the most meaningful moments in my life, didn't come from a podium or a Team Canada jersey. They're actually the small moments that nobody saw. Waking up at the crack of dawn in the dead of winter to, go run 4 hours in the pouring rain. Or, summiting a local mountain here with friends. Or just continuing on when I wanted to quit so bad. So that's where life actually happens. Not just at the finish lines or those big, big moments. So tonight, celebrate yourselves. Be proud of what you've accomplished. Be proud you're in this room right now. And keep chasing big goals. Dream ridiculously big, guys. Push yourselves. But understand this. The real reward is not the medal or the title or the scholarship or the jersey. It's the person you become while you're chasing these goals that seem to be crazy big or seem to be really impossible for you in the past. So yeah, thanks for listening, guys. I hope you have so much fun tonight. And if ever you guys want to chat about really big goals, I am on Instagram. It's the Endurance Dietitian. I threw a QR code up there. And I'm also going to be kicking around here too, so even after the night. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Carol Ann. A special PowerPoint presentation has been created to reflect all of you, the students, who have been acknowledged as leaders of tomorrow for this 25-26 school year. And I just want to mention, I believe I said it at the beginning of the evening, but it will be available to all schools and Rotary clubs, so all of you students and families will be able to see it as well after tonight, should you choose. That'll be compiled with the videography that GW Graham is doing. So, might just need a moment here, but if you will watch the screen, we will learn a little bit more about all of you and your accomplishments and goals. Wow, that was really nice to get to know you just a little bit. Your family and friends must be so excited for the rest of this evening. 3 of you will be receiving $1,000, 3 will receive $750, and the rest will receive $500. Now, sponsors are a key player in making this successful, and if it was not for them, we would not be able to give you, the students, this extra support as you transition to this next stage. So as we begin the presentation portion, just a little bit of details of how we'll do this. We will bring the schools up, 1 school at a time, based on the Rotary Club that supports and sponsors your school, and that'll go from oldest to youngest Rotary clubs. So it'll start with GW Graham, then Sardis Secondary, followed by Chilliwack Senior Secondary, and finishing with Imagine High and Agassiz. So students, if I could get you to gather to my right and sponsors to my left, when we call you, then the sponsor and student will meet in the center for a photo opportunity before we move to the next student. As someone I used to know would say, clear as mud? All right, so we will begin with GW Graham Secondary, supported by the Friday Club, the Rotary Club of Chilliwack, which is represented by President-elect Jared Mumford. We also have Hofstede's Country Barn, Richard Prosey. SEPCO, Jeff Shields will be representing. Chris Veenstra for Metric Civil. And Jared Mumford for Optimum Sport and Health Centers, if I could get you to collect on my left. And our GW Graham students, if you could please come over to the right by Thomas. All right, so we are starting with Richard Prosey and Hofstede's with a presentation for William Wallace.
We're just getting the procedure set up here. So what we're doing now is what we do for the rest of the
And next we will get Richard Prosey back with Hofstede's with a presentation for Cale Bartel. Next, Chris Veenstra with Metric Civil Contractors, an award for Fanta Sri Shaichana. Did I get it anywhere close? Yay! Congratulations. Not able to be with us this evening, Aria Burton, but wanted to recognize them. Jared Mumford will be coming back with Rotary Club of Chilliwack presentation for Adriana Jansen. Jeff Shields, representing SEPCO, with a presentation for Maggie Epp. And Jared Mumford, representing Optimum Sport and Health Center, recognizing Madeline Fernandez. Next is the Sardis Secondary School, supported by the Chilliwack Fraser Rotary Club. Colin Rogers here on behalf of Chilliwack Fraser Rotary, Brad McRae from Cooper Equipment Rental. Colin Rogers will also be representing Chilliwack Charitable Foundation and Scott Simpson for Simpson Notaries as our sponsors this evening. And Sardis Secondary students, if I could get you to join us on the right, sponsors on the left. Is that all of the Sardis Secondary students? Okay. We've got Brad McRae with Cooper Equipment Rental with a presentation for Linnea Froze. And then Brad McRae with Cooper Equipment Rental and a presentation for Sharon Gladson. Colin Rogers, representing the Rotary Club of Chilliwack Fraser, with a presentation for Lyric Hall. Lyric is not with us tonight, so Colin will come with a presentation from the Chilliwack Club of the Rotary Club of Chilliwack Fraser for Charlotte Clausen. Colin Rogers, representing the Chilliwack Fraser Charitable Foundation, with a presentation for Emma Barbum. Scott Simpson with Simpson Notaries, the presentation for Alex Hooker. And Colin Rogers on behalf of the Chilliwack Fraser Charitable Foundation with a presentation for Sophie Youssef. Chilliwack Secondary School, supported by the Mount Cheam Rotary Club. Presenters include Kim Ashley, the president of the Mount Cheam Rotary Club, Mike Woods for Odlum Brown, Tyler Spice on behalf of Paul McManus for Chilliwack Ford, and Marianne Thomason for the Chamber of Commerce, if I could get you to join us on my left. And Chilliwack secondary students on my right, please. All right, Mike Woods for Odlum Brown with a presentation for Anna Golbank. Mike Woods, on behalf of Odlum Brown, with a presentation for Eliza Massey-Gashi. Next is Kim Ashley, representing the Mount Rotary Club, with a presentation for Daniel Verlinsky. Kim Ashley on behalf of Mount Rotary Club with a presentation for Jillian Burton. Tyler Spice on behalf of Chilliwack Ford with a presentation for Isha Sukija. Marianne Thomason, representing the Chamber of Commerce, with a presentation for Gitanjali Kumar. And Tyler Spice on behalf of Chilliwack Ford with a presentation for Madison Ekelund. And finally this evening, Imagine High as well as Agassiz Secondary, both supported by the Chilliwack After Hours Club. So if I could get students from Imagine and Agassiz to my right, and Deanna McGonigal from the Chilliwack After Hours Club, the president, to my left. All right. So Deanna McGonigal from the Rotary Club of Chilliwack After Hours with a presentation for Finney Bicycle. And from Agassiz Secondary, Deanna McGonigal with a presentation from the Rotary Club of Chilliwack After Hours for Rebecca Backman. Congratulations to all of the students recognized this evening, and congratulations to all the students from all of your high schools on your upcoming graduation. Quite the accomplishment. Before we finish this evening, just want to say a few thank yous, including to Hofstede's Country Barn for donating the snacks we've enjoyed, the Chilliwack Cultural Center for donating the space for this evening, Carol Ann Rolle for speaking with us this evening, and as she mentioned, she'll be here if you want to talk to her more afterwards. A big thank you to the G.W. Graham Film and TV students and Gareth Clark for the videography this evening, as well as Acting Mayor, City Councillor Jeff Shields for joining us, school trustees for joining us, and as you enjoyed in the lobby beforehand, Eric James and the music that he performed before we all joined here. And of course, once again, a big thank you to all the corporate sponsors who have made these awards possible this evening. And once again, also would like to recognize the school representatives from Chilliwack Secondary, Martin Armstrong, G.W. Graham, Chuck Lawson, Sardis Secondary, Josh Sandberg, Imagine High, Brooke Holler, and Agassiz Secondary, Megan Kempenar.